What report?
What?
They must have had a late night watching the report.
What report?
What report?
What report?
I wasn't watching no reports.
That Turkish guy won the Olympics without any equipment?
That report?
That report?
I don't think it was that report.
That guy's hardcore. Don't mess with that guy.
Happy Friday. Today we are going to talk about Etsy's Investors Report, which we were not up late watching. That was on Wednesday, I believe. But we talked about it during eRent Q&A, and then over on Pam's channel, her and Brian, they always have amazing presentations, and they've got graphs and fun stuff. We're not doing none of that. We're just looking right at the report.
Yeah.
However, I think that there's a couple really good key focus areas with the financial report. I want to be clear that nothing in the financial report was like, wow, completely new, because Etsy already told us about like the membership program that they're doing for buyers and stuff. They told us that before the financial report came in, and then they just kind of reiterated some of those points. But there were a couple golden nuggets that were kind of sprinkled in there that I feel provide a bit of clarity that will hopefully help us to navigate our holiday seasons a little bit easier, or, you know, in preparation of. Now, there are a couple little things that I want to bring up for digital sellers, and I guess it's hitting more than just digital sellers. Basically, Christina Nicole, the photography coach that, you know, I constantly talk about, she might be here today. She and I have been noodling over some sellers who have had, oh, hello. She has been noodling. I have been noodling over some sellers who have had listings deactivated. Most of the sellers who have had their listings deactivated in violation of Etsy's image policies, that's, you know, specifically what we're looking into right now, were sellers that, how many was it, Christina? 7 out of how many? Most of the sellers who reached out in some way had placeholder text. So for example, if you're photographing a product, right, and that customer can put their name on the product, you can't make the product say custom name on it. You have to put like Debbie or Jason. There's even a seller who does, I believe she does like wood burning, right? And she had burned into the physical product, like actually, you know, as her example, put like custom name or your name or, you know, whatever on the physical item to use it as a photograph, and was still deactivated. Now, this is just for your thumbnails. You have to make sure that you are showing an example of a finished item. You can't have any placeholder text. We're still trying to figure out what the heck, if Etsy's, you know, if Etsy's AI is able to look at these photos and find the words custom text.
Christina had said none of them had activations. They just received an email from Etsy.
Right. Okay. So they didn't have deactivations, but they got like a warning type email. If for any reason you get a warning type email from Etsy, you know, that says like your photos might not be compliant with their policies, do me a favor and drop me an email at starla@handmadealphaacademy.com. And then, you know, we can add you to that list of cases that Christina and I are looking into.
Unless you know for a fact that you have something that's
Placeholder
against their policies, like copyright stuff, because you'll get those emails if you have other stuff wrong with your listings too.
Right. Just we're just trying to figure it out. And if it's something unrelated to this, please don't email me. I know Etsy has a lot of problems right now. We've got to deal with one at a time. So most of the time when I request something, you know, hey, if you fall into this very specific category, I get like 600 emails from people that say, well, I'm not having that problem, but I am experiencing this. I'm like, okay, that's not what I asked for though.
Yeah, we can't respond to everybody, unfortunately. She said 8 of the 11 had placeholder text.
Got it. Yeah. So, you know, 8 of the 11, that sounds like a lot of people who were just getting flagged by the system that already said.
That's consistent with our shop deactivation results. The majority of people who said that they did nothing wrong had actually done something wrong.
Exactly.
So does it count for any other text on the main image?
It has to, if the person can customize the item in any way, and you have some type of placeholder text, so text like your name, custom name, your name here, you know, what,
no placeholder text.
No placeholder. It has to show what it will say, or, you know,
what it could say.
What it could say. So if it's, you know, an anniversary gift and it's got like the marriage, you know, the year on it, you have to put an actual year there. And then maybe off to the side have a little graphic that says, you know, that you can put your own custom date.
Yeah, and Christina said, but there were a few, but if you were reporting that they had placeholder text on bestsellers and they were seeing a huge drop in sales, Etsy did threaten all of the emails that they would suppress or be deactivated. The other 3 just had really fake-looking images.
Yeah, so really fake-looking mock-ups, things that clearly aren't.
Etsy system's getting smarter.
Yep, this is the day of reckoning, and I just told Christina in a Marco Polo a little while ago, this is how we should see this stuff, guys. Over the last few years, we have all been saying to ourselves, like, oh my God, Etsy's so oversaturated with crap. There are so many sellers who don't give a crap. I mean, we know that. There are sellers who don't give a crap about what they're doing. They're just flooding the platform, and it's making it harder for us to succeed, right? And there's, you know, drop shippers and scammers and, you know, yada, yada, just a bunch of crap. So right now, I think Etsy's realized that, okay, there's no easy way to get rid of all this stuff, though they are doing it. It's a very slow process, and the more they remove, the more people join and add more crap. So it's like, what can Etsy do in order to help the genuine sellers while they're trying to figure out the main issue, which is the junky sellers who shouldn't be there to begin with, who aren't actually, you know, putting any time or making their items, right? So what Etsy is doing is they're creating new avenues to the top, but those new avenues, they take a little bit of work. They take a little bit of work on our part. The benefit to that is that all of the scammers, all of the crappy sellers, all of the people who have logged into their Etsy account once and then they just ignore it, you know, all of the drop shippers, all of the sellers who are just too lazy to want to do anything, you know, or make any improvements. Those individuals are the ones who are going to begin falling in search. And it's the sellers who are doing really, really good, who are focusing. You know, you don't have to be a best-selling shop, but if you're a motivated seller who's willing to say, okay, Etsy has just opened up a new highway to the top. That highway is not going to be as full because there aren't going to be very many people who are willing to put in that time. Does it suck that we got to put in extra work? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I told Christina today, I've mentioned this several times, is the buried treasure principle. If I told you right now that there was buried treasure somewhere in your backyard, it's a guarantee. It's out there. It is 100% out there. We just don't know where it's at. How much time, energy, and money would you invest into finding that buried treasure if you knew for certain that it was out there? Probably a lot, right? You would go out there with your shovel, you would get filthy, you would spend hours digging, you would buy tools and equipment, you would invest, you would hire some people to help you to excavate in order to find that buried treasure. There's a very specific type of person who's gonna put in the work in order to take this new superhighway that Etsy's creating, while they're also trying to figure out ways to manage the messier side, which is, you know, the people who are selling things they shouldn't be and who aren't putting in the work. Does it suck that we all gotta work? Yeah, it sucks big time, especially for the sellers who have like 6,000 listings. It really does suck. However, that's business, baby. That's business, baby. That's business, baby. It sucks, but I'm not here to sugarcoat everything and tell you that, you know, kumbaya, everything is going to be fine. You're so precious, honey. I'm here to tell you that the way to the top is often messy. And sometimes it's a pain, and sometimes you want to curse and yell and scream, but the people who are going to win in the end are the ones who are willing to curse and yell and scream, and who, you know, finally made their way to the top anyway.
Speepoo had said, what's the point of not allowing placeholder text? And Mabel had said, the overall look of the placeholder text isn't the aesthetic Etsy wants. That's true, but that's not the whole part of this. Etsy, Josh in particular, in the last investor report, when they were talking about what they were going to do for the year, was talking about basically not prioritizing the lazy, do barely any work sellers. And when it comes to bots, the majority of people that are running bot shops or AI run shops are people who are going to be using placeholder text. And obviously people can program their AI to give their products names and put names and stuff on the photos. But we're talking about the laziest of the laziest people, which is a majority of the people who run bot shops or that just put creative Fabrica designs on a shirt with a placeholder with absolutely no text. And they don't even take the time to edit the photo they got from Creative Fabrica, you know, that kind of thing. That's what they're really aiming to do. They're getting rid of lazy people. And he made it very clear that he was kind of over the lazy do no work sellers.
Yeah.
And they're doing everything that they can to get rid of those people. You don't recommend any text on the thumbnail image? No, if your product has text, it needs to be text of what a final product would look like. So it can't say custom text or insert text here or customize it, or what it needs to be like Brittany, Taylor, Joshua. Like it needs to be of either a finished product or resembling, if you're digital, what the finished product would look like.
Now, I'm assuming you mean like text like up in the corner, like I mentioned. Christina said, now, if you have text on your first image, you probably won't be featured by Etsy. So that's like, you know, if you put, you know, in a little bubble in the corner, you know, customize with your text, but then you have, you know, the ornament, Christmas ornament that says Joshua on it, for example. Etsy is very unlikely to feature you if you have any additional text, logo, watermark, anything on your image. I
would be very surprised if their AI can differentiate between the text that's on it and the text on the product.
That is also too, but we don't know.
We don't know. That's pure speculation at this point. We do know why they're doing it. Josh made it very clear that he was aiming at the lazy people, but how deep that system goes, we don't know yet. We won't know until we have more conclusive evidence to support it.
So, Christina, I sent you a Marco Polo a little while ago, basically saying maybe we should do a separate Friday Bean where you and I just cover this because we've already got a lot of questions. Right now, we don't have answers for you guys, but I think that this is worth, you know, more time, more research. So Christina, if you want, maybe you want to do a Friday Bean in the next few weeks, we could do that instead. And then you guys can ask us questions and we can try to make some educated guesses, just remembering that we are speculating. Until Etsy says something, you know, we can tell you what the policies say, and maybe some of you just aren't interpreting the policies and maybe you need someone to help you interpret them. We can do that, but we can't give you any additional insights aside from what Etsy has, you know, disclosed in those policies. But if that's something you guys are interested in, please let us know in the chat and maybe we can make that happen in the next, you know, couple weeks.
I'll light a candle.
Yeah, go ahead. So Mr. Marc, do you by chance know of a good way where I can see my notes and still show this slide deck at the same time?
Well, I can only share my screen at the moment because that's what it's set up for. So if you want to do anything other than that, then you're out of luck.
Let's do it this way. Why don't you close the left side? I will pull up my notes on my phone and then we can show the slide deck. Sound good?
Uh-huh.
Sound good, baby?
Uh-huh.
Okay, baby. Let's see. All right. So we're going to go over the financial report. We're not going to cover everything because a lot of it was very underwhelming.
It's a financial report.
Okay.
They're boring.
Okay.
We're not using PowerPoint. We're using Trello. Screen share.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so this is the investors report. If you guys want to follow along, just Google Etsy Q2 2024 earnings conference, and you should be able to find the presentation. Etsy's doing a little better, just a teeny tiny bit better, but not.
Well, they're positive instead of almost negative this time. So
right.
That's nice.
They're doing a little better, but you know what? This is the natural flow of traffic. In the summer and spring, things on Etsy are really, really slow. And now, as we start ramping up to the holiday season, it's going to do better in Q3. And then in Q4, it's going to do the best. I mean, that's just how this looks. And I guarantee you that the next earnings conference, Josh is going to come on camera and he's going to talk about all their initiatives and he's going to say, our initiatives, look how much they're helping.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's been watching these conference calls for years is going to say, oh, yeah, yes, it's doing better because it's right before the holidays. And it always did better this time of year. Not saying that all these, initiatives aren't going to help, but don't be, oh, yeah, there you go. Don't be so naive as to think that all of these improvements that Etsy is making will be the reason why things do better. If you've been monitoring these conference calls for years, you will know that things always do better in Q3 and Q4.
Yeah, I mean, we can show them the chart here in just a minute. You can see Q3 into Q4 is always their best time.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
All right. So these are, what is wrong with us today?
We're stupid today. It's okay.
So some of the initiatives that they're working on, there was a huge focus on gifting. It's been in their marketing. Obviously, their stupid Super Bowl ads that everybody hated. I love all of their seller-focused advertising. I really wish that they would have done something like that for the Super Bowl. But they are trying to get customers to think of Etsy every time they need to shop for something, not as their last resort. Josh was talking about how basically, people will check Amazon and they'll check Walmart. And then when they can't find what they want, Etsy's the last place that they think to shop. He wants them to start thinking of Etsy first. A couple things that they've launched since then was obviously gift mode. It's okay. I mean,
it's gift mode.
Their results from it are obviously performing well, so customers clearly like it. I'm underwhelmed, but I'm a seller, so what do I know, right? Loyalty program, though. This was announced earlier this week. Was it this week? Earlier this week? I think like Monday that they announced it. The loyalty program, we'll talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes. This is something that they're doing for buyers specifically. It's not really anything that we need to worry about too much. But I do like the general idea of it, though they are kind of pushing sellers to discount products a little more than what I would like to see. But I think that it's a positive direction. Quality, this kind of plays into the algorithm. They are trying to really work on what they're showing to customers and elevating what is unique. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Great value. So this is basically how well they can showcase deals and discounts and things like their free shipping guarantees, being more transparent about things like when items are going to ship, how much it's going to cost. And then reliability. So this is basically trying to help customers find good stuff and then be satisfied with the purchases that they're making, providing support to those customers, which, you're a seller, but
I'm not a fan that they're calling it a loyalty program, though. Loyalty program kind of presumes that they're treating you for continuously shopping on Etsy, not paying to shop on Etsy. That's not really a loyalty program.
They're treating it like Costco.
I was about to say, that's just a VIP program. Like, there's a difference between VIP and loyalty. Most of the time with loyalty, you think like Starbucks. You get free points and eventually you get free stuff. But you don't pay for that. And you probably will get stuff like that on Etsy, but you have to pay for it up front. As far as we know. That's the way that it sounds, at least in the language.
Etsy should fund that discount. They're funding some. We'll talk.
They are funding some stuff. Whether or not they pass that on to the sellers, we'll see.
Okay, so let's skip ahead a little bit. It's okay. There we go. So I really like the idea of this stuff, though I haven't personally seen it in my own Etsy shopping app. Basically, they're launching this gift list thing where you can enter your gift recipient, what occasion you're buying for, whether it be a holiday, birthday, yada, yada. You can put, their birthday in there and it'll give you reminders. So, hey, Heather's birthday is coming up in 4 weeks. Here's some gift ideas or here's some items that you saved for, your dad. I actually really like this. This is something that as a consumer, I will most definitely use because I have a list of favorites and it's overwhelming when I go through it, but I will specifically have someone in mind when I'm thinking of it. So it almost feels like Amazon wish lists. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And I really do like the reminders. It would be great if they sent out notifications to say like, hey, your mom's birthday is in 4 weeks. Don't forget to get her a gift. Here's some ideas. I actually do like these ideas. I just haven't really noticed them on my own app. And I am on the Etsy shopping app almost every day. I'm to the point now where like Josh talked about, he wants to make Etsy a place where you're entertained, where if you've got 5 minutes to burn, you're like standing in line at the DMV, you come to Etsy to browse for fun. And I do that anyway. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if this is already launched, they have not done a very good job of showing it.
Mine doesn't have it. Lynn said, how many sellers can afford the expected 50 to 75% discount?
So it's not, I think that you're thinking of this a little wrong, Lynn. You don't have to do that. It's not.
I wouldn't say expected.
Yeah, it's not expected. I feel like because they're still developing this, it was more of just an idea. I haven't had a chance to fully go through it. How many sellers can afford it? Probably not many unless you're pricing with, that, high price positioning in mind already. We talked about like brands yesterday that have already factored in wholesale pricings into their pricing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a feedback button. If you guys go to the article where they made this announcement, about the loyalty program, there was a big portion at the bottom, if you scroll down, where it'll, have a link to go to a survey. Go fill that out. If you have opinions about that, go fill that out.
Just do yourself a favor and educate yourself. That way you don't say something that's not actually in there. Don't listen to us or any other people. Go read it for yourself. Yeah. Because if you put something in there that's not actually part of it, they're just going to disregard your entire email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go fill out, read the whole article, because there's no way that, we're going to be able to summarize it all here. And even if you watched ours here, the Q&A, E-Rank and Pam and Brian, there might be some things in there that you miss. Go read the article directly, and then, like I said, fill out that survey and let them know. But I do agree that trying to push sellers to discount that steeply it's
a little ridiculous. At least I am very much a know your worth kind of person, and discounts for the sake of discounts to bring more buyers all the time isn't the way to build a healthy platform. So I don't think there's an expectation of that high of a discount. I think they just want to push people to give as high a discounts as they can because they're trying to get more repeat buyers. At the end of the day, everything they're doing is attempting to bring back people who shop 1 to 3 times a year and make them shop 5+ times a year. That's he said it in the last investors report, and they talked about it here.
Yeah. They are using a lot of buyer surveys. So basically, once you've completed a purchase, Etsy sends you a survey because they want to ensure that customers are happy with all of these little updates and gift updates and things. Mm-hmm. And apparently those surveys are performing well. Customers seem to really be responding to this stuff. So regardless of whether or not we think it's kind of dumb or we don't like gift mode, customers seem to be liking it. So overall, that's positive because that means that these customers are going to tell their friends, they're going to spread awareness, and it helps the ecosystem overall on Etsy. So this is stuff that we already talked about during the last investors call. This actual whole set of slides is from that report. They're suppressing and removing listings that violate Etsy's policies. Obviously, a lot of us are experiencing listings that are falling through the cracks, that are either not getting taken down when they should be or getting wrongfully taken down when they shouldn't be. But for the most part, it seems like Etsy really is trying to get rid of all the drop shipped junk. Elevating better quality listings in search. So this is important. They want to elevate the listings that are unique. This means that as sellers, we need to be a little bit more inventive. We need to make sure that we're doing the thing that isn't just popular because everybody else is doing it and trying to profit off of that already popular idea. But we need to start being inventive and coming up with our own ideas. Now, obviously, we see a lot of this in the POD industry because people will buy designs from sites like Creative Fabrica and they'll slap them on a t-shirt and then they'll try to list them, and then they'll get, either crickets or they'll get deactivated. This is the time when we need to look at trends and think about how can we take this trend and make it something completely new and fun and original. So it takes time. It takes a lot of thought. It is a pain. We're in this same boat right now in my own Etsy shop, Books and Cold Brews, because we are officially licensed by several of the biggest authors in the world. And we have a lot of competitors who are also licensed, and we have some who, have bypassed the licensing and are just uploading things illegally. So when trying to compete, what we're doing is, for example, for these books that we're licensed for, most people get on Goodreads and they find the most popular quotes from a book and they slap those popular quotes onto a t-shirt. What we're doing is when we're reading these books, we're like taking note of pages and, saving quotes that aren't as popular, that aren't, on every single shirt. And we're trying to really pick key moments from these stories that aren't already very merch popular, for example. That way we can try to stand out and be a little bit more unique than what some of our competitors are doing. And there's ways to do this in every industry, right?
Eric, I want to address this real quick. She says, there's no way to do the high discounts. I made a mistake and forgot that one of my products pricing was a lower percent margin than the others and lost money on the sale. It's hard to compete. Raising prices to get those percent discounts doesn't seem to be helping either. It's actually against the law to raise your prices in order to accommodate a sale. So make sure that
you're... A temporary sale. If it's a permanent...
A temporary sale. If it's a permanent price increase across the board, that's different. So if you end the sale and your prices come back down, you've broken the law. So just make sure that you're not doing that. Don't raise your prices at all in order to try to hit a sale of 50 to 75%. That no one in the world is expecting you to discount that high. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. And I would not, here's the thing, this whole loyalty program, it hasn't happened yet.
No, we don't even know what the hell is going to happen with it. So don't get too caught up in it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go change all your prices. Instead, what I would do is just fill out the surveys, make your voice heard. If all of us right now who are watching, there's 304 of us, if we were all to go fill out that survey right now and tell Etsy, like, yo, 50% is insane.
That's asinine.
There are enough of us here in this chat right now that we could potentially make a difference.
I'd say most of you wouldn't be able to afford a 20 to 25% discount if you're appropriately pricing your products.
Yeah.
I mean, really, unless you're doing something digital that doesn't have an actual physical output, there's no end cost for you other than your time. Those are insane.
Christina had asked, why do you think Etsy has done away with the % mobile GMS statistic on all reports? I didn't know that they did that. I didn't notice.
They did. However, he has addressed the mobile stuff and he addressed it here as well. Aren't they doing a separate app for the loyalty program? Didn't they say that in the end of this? Maybe I misread. Well, the buyer app. That's what I meant.
Well, yeah, there's two apps. There's a buyer app and a seller app. It'll be in the buyer app.
I thought there was a third one for the loyalty program. But anyway, it might have something to do that. Maybe that's why he's saying that he's trying to turn the social media or turn the platform into an entertainment thing instead of just a sales thing. So they're not focusing on the sales, gives them a reason to not have to focus on mobile development as a point for the shareholders.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's probably why, because he's saying he wants it to be an entertainment platform too. And that kind of limits their liability on having to ensure that their sales go up year over year on the app. But that is 100% speculation on my part.
He did mention that, I can't remember the exact percentage, but he said something about like 40-something% of purchases are made on the mobile app during the call.
It was less than that.
No, it was 40-something.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was less than that.
No, it was a lot. So curation, this is just kind of how they create, their different curated sections, their trend sections. Obviously, they've got the Drew Barrymore like curations, her chief gifting officer. Basically, they're building more curated areas and themed areas. I'm sure we'll see a lot of these during the holidays. And then organization. This is just our categories, making sure things that fit in proper categories, creating fun categories for listings. It looks like they've got some AI recommended categories. Okay, so let's see. This was kind of interesting. This was in their buyer experience section. So cut in half the percentage of searches where a high percentage of the listings seen on page 1 are from a single seller. This is declumping. So this is interesting. It kind of sucks for those of you who have previously been able to completely dominate search pages.
Mm-hmm.
This still does not mean that you can compete with yourself. I get that's still a weird thing that people say, because the customization will dictate who sees what and which of your listings that they see.
Customization and personalization.
Or personalization, I mean. But in a singular shopper's experience, basically what Etsy is saying is they want less listings to be from the exact same seller, and they want to reduce the number of listings that seem identical. So if you notice that Live, Laugh, Love sweatshirts are trending, I'm pretty sure that's copywritten now, but
probably
regardless, if you notice that Live, Laugh, Love sweatshirts are trending, okay, that's cool and all. Maybe don't make a Live, Laugh, Love sweatshirt if there are already, 10,000 sellers also selling one, or a shirt with a bear outline that says Mama Bear. Like, how many of those does Etsy really need? So what Etsy's going to begin doing, or they have begun doing, is reducing the amount of listings that with their AI they detect seem to be completely identical. Now, this might be where we start to see people who are utilizing very similar mock-ups getting a lot less visibility in search. So if you're using something like mock-ups from Placeit, and, I always use the example of white woman sitting on the bed, looking to the right, smiling, and there's a potted plant in the background. Yeah, you guys might all have a different graphic on her sweatshirt, but what Etsy's looking at is the entire image, the woman, the pose, the bed, the plant in the background, the color of the wall. That's going to look like an identical item, even if the item itself is the shirt and the design that's on it. So this is where I think that getting unique with the mock-ups and having a lot of fun with your mock-ups, like we talked about last week in the Friday Bean, customizing those mock-ups, adding different backgrounds, getting, really, really unique in the way that you present your products, because who's not going to be willing to do that, right? The people who just want to list a bunch of stuff and, not worry about it. They're not going to be willing to take their Printify mock-up, take it into Canva, remove the background and put a different background on there. They're not going to be willing to order a sample product and shoot a new photo. Drop shippers are not going to be willing to do a whole professional elaborate photo shoot for their crappy drop shipped products, right?
Nope.
So again, Etsy, I'm sure it's going to take them a long time to actually remove all the items that are not good or shouldn't be there. Because even as they are removing these items, there are sellers who are uploading more items to take their place. But what they're doing is they're starting to suppress those items in search and elevate the items that are, more unique in nature and where the seller is clearly put in a lot of work. And Etsy said early research suggests these search changes are having a positive impact on buyers' perception of the quality of Etsy's search results. So remember a couple months ago, we were even seeing in communities of buyers saying, like, I can never find anything on Etsy anymore. All I find on Etsy is mass-produced junk. Hopefully this is a good sign. Etsy also mentioned that at the end of summer, which Pam and I, both said, like, it is the end of summer, Etsy. They said that they are going to be giving some updates to help sellers identify listing quality and completeness, were the words that they used. Now, this has been misconstrued as Etsy's going to show you your listing quality score. That's not it. A listing quality score is a private metric that Etsy does not disclose. That is how they really decide how products are going to rank in search. But what they are going to show us is factors that contribute to our rank and contribute to our listing quality score that might need improvements. Well, the cool thing about this is you guys already have access to this stuff in eRank, in the health check, which is a tool that I believe Pam and I proposed a couple months ago. The health check will basically give you those areas of improvement, and hopefully Etsy adds some more value to that. Hopefully they give us even more insights, but that's something that is apparently coming in the next few weeks that we can look forward to, ways that will directly help us understand what we need to improve to make sure that we're actually hitting all of this new, well, not new ranking criteria, but stricter ranking criteria. This is interesting. And, you know, I know a lot of you are going to say that, oh, I'm not seeing that at all. But from an overhead perspective as an educator with, you know, I'm in a lot of communities. I've got, you know, tons of email list subscribers. I have tons of YouTube followers. Reading my comments, reading my emails, this feels like it holds up. And I know that a lot of you are going to say, no, this isn't true. It might not be true for you, but I am noticing a lot of sellers have mentioned that they're doing better, and they're having, when they're actually checking things like their organic rank with eRank's rank checker, they're noticing that they're doing better. So 70% of shops had more visibility in search, with the share of search impressions from small and medium shops increasing by nearly 30%. So this is to me a good sign that the small and medium shops who are putting in the work and doing the things that Etsy's asking us to do are going to have a better chance, especially over the holiday season when there's going to be a lot more shoppers. So if you fall into this small and medium category, it feels like a new opportunity is just opened up for you. We just need to make sure that you're actually doing all of the things that Etsy wants us to do, right? So we all know about this, the creativity standards. Basically, now in your shop, Etsy's going to, you know, be disclosing whether your product was made by a seller, handpicked by a seller, designed by a seller, or sourced by a seller. I know some of you are experiencing these labels being incorrect. So this is new. If your label is incorrect, I wouldn't stress about it. I doubt buyers have even really noticed this yet. But it does help to kind of help buyers understand, you know, if something is designed by a seller, that doesn't mean that they sewed the t-shirt together. It's, you know, likely a POD product where the seller maybe painted an original design and has it produced on a shirt. That's just some positive feedback. Okay. I absolutely love that Etsy is showcasing real sellers now in their advertising. This should have been what they should have been doing this all along. This should, I mean, they used to, and then they stopped for some reason. And now I think they're finally like, oh yeah, keep commerce human, our whole slogan thing. The thing that all those crazy people with wolf emojis yelled at us about last August. Can you guys believe it's already been a year since our Keep Etsy Human initiative? That's crazy. And I'm not going to say that we were responsible for this, but I'm sure that it probably contributed to the overall awareness, since thousands of you guys participated in bombarding Etsy on social media with the hashtag Keep Etsy Human. So hopefully we start to see more human elements in Etsy's advertising, where they're actually doing justice to the sellers rather than trying to represent themselves as if we are employees of Etsy. Okay, so they want to focus more energy into the app, and they want to make this their main shopping platform. They want most of their traffic and purchases to be through their app, which is cool. But it also means that you should be frequently checking what your own store looks like within the buyer app to make sure that all of your photos are displaying well, to make sure that, you know, key details are visible. I recommend shopping on Etsy. I know that feels very basic, but shop on Etsy for something that you want to buy, even if you don't end up buying it. Do it from your shopper's perspective, but then reevaluate the process that you went through. Kind of almost like audit your shopping process and, you know, how you went through that process, because you can usually identify some really interesting features that were important to you during your own shopping experience that maybe you just haven't thought to execute in your own shop, because when you're in your own shop, you're in seller mode. When you're in buyer mode, you might realize that things that are important to you are a little bit different than when things are important to you in seller mode. So I'm a frequent Etsy shopper, so I'm on the Etsy app all the time. Okay, so Etsy Insider. If you guys want to learn more about this, I do recommend just Googling Etsy Insider update or Etsy Insider beta, and finding the official Etsy article. This is where you can leave your feedback. There's a survey linked at the bottom. So basically the purpose of this, it's not for everybody. They're only testing it with small groups right now. What they want to do is incentivize buyer frequency. So they want to basically take people who only order once or twice a year on Etsy, and they want to try to get them to shop more. So this is re-engaging existing buyers, or reactivating them, as they called it. So they talked about how this can get them exclusive discounts. They can get maybe like sneak peeks and almost like early access to, you know, different products. I don't know how they're going to do that, but first access merch, it's interesting. I'd love to dig more into that once they give us more information. Now, one thing that they did note is that they'll be funding experiments like offering free shipping, where when buyers pay to be a part of this Etsy Insider program, some of that money will go towards giving buyers free shipping that Etsy pays for. So that to me is really cool. I love that. I love that Etsy's actually going to cover the cost of the free shipping for things like that. And when Josh was asked how much this is going to cost for those, you know, buyers who want to opt into the Etsy Insider program, he said the cost of a latte per month. So
now, if it costs any more than $7, y'all have to call him out for never having to pay for his own coffee.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's $5 to
$7. $5 to $7. If you pay more than $7 for a latte, you're not drinking a latte.
If I get invited to this, I will absolutely opt in just so I can see what it is. I want to know. I want to learn. Okay, so a couple things that are important to note here. This is some of the updates that they're making with their Gen AI. This is where AI has kind of stepped into the Etsy process. Something that I really want you guys to be careful of, and that we've noticed within the Handmade Alpha Academy, so HAA students, I'm going to be monitoring this situation, but fraud detection, including combo spam detection. We have had 2 students who have had their shop suspended. They've gotten them back, but they've had their shop suspended because they had their email list link in their convos, which Etsy has previously said that we could do. The one thing that I'm noticing, though, and I think is the issue, is that they used a link shortener, bit.ly, tiny URL. These are often used by scammers to mask sketchy links, right? You click on this link, and they pretend to be like Etsy support or something. Oh, you need to verify your account by clicking this link. I need to do a little bit more investigating to see if it's just the shortened links that are causing the issues. If that link is, for example, to a MailChimp EEP URL, it probably, I'm assuming that Etsy would be able to detect that and understand what that link is. But we just need to do a little bit more research and really just wait until more cases come forward. I'm just waiting for someone to say like, hey, I had a completely unmasked, you know, direct link to my MailChimp list that was flagged. For now, if you're an HAA student, I would recommend ensuring that you're just putting your long, ugly MailChimp URL, email list signup link in your emails, and not using bit.ly and not using tiny URL or whatever link shortener that you're using. It sucks because obviously we want to use a pretty clean link. But if the fraud detection is looking for links in convos, that could be the issue. Couple other things with the Gen AI. So this, we talked about the review summaries. I don't know what the conversational search.
Conversational search was where they had their test search engine where it would have a conversation with you, where it was like, oh, you want jewelry? Oh, what kind of jewelry do you want? What kind of stuff do you like? And it like tries to provide you with stuff instead of you just generally browsing the Etsy app.
Gotcha. Search optimizations, including query understanding and mission understanding. So this is like
contextual search versus just outputting things that match tags.
Right, that just match keywords.
Right, and so with reading descriptions, looking at the photos, we don't know how in depth it actually goes, but
this is a great time though to do an audit of your descriptions, because we've already talked about that descriptions don't necessarily play into query matching. Andrew Stanton, their head of search, revealed that last year. He said that they're used more for context. So if your product would make a great, Christmas gift, it's Art Deco, you've got a very specific style, colors, yada, yada. You don't necessarily need to get a bunch of keywords in your description, but I would be very, very specific in the styles and occasions and things that product could be used for. Because if somebody is on a very specific search, it might help you to actually connect with buyers through their own personalized searches. Productivity with tools like Copilot, Glean, Search, and Chat. Inventory understanding, including attributes and taxonomy. So this is where we need to make sure that when it comes to filling out your listings, especially when it comes to all those little drop-down menus that you get, if it applies to your item, fill it out. If it doesn't apply, leave it blank. Make sure that you're not just filling things out for the sake of filling them out when it comes to those attributes. Believe it or not, you don't have to fill all of those out, which I know anytime we're talking about Etsy, I'm like, if they give you an area to fill out, make sure you fill it out. Other than attributes, if there are attributes like occasion, where it's like, pick an occasion, birthday, anniversary, yada, yada, and you have a mug with a cat on it, if it doesn't say happy birthday on it, you don't need to put a happy birthday attribute because it's not a happy birthday mug, for example. If you have a t-shirt that you think would make a great Christmas gift, but it isn't a Christmas shirt, don't put a Christmas attribute on it. You want to make sure that the attributes are directly tied to the item that you're selling. And then customer support, including support bots and agent assist technology. So support bots that are going to help you. This is, talking to a bot in chat, and agent assist technology. Do you want to cover that one? He's a big sigh.
Presumptive here. I'm assuming that it is going to be something that allows the support people to have their own AI that they can communicate with if they don't quite understand the questions. Now, Etsy will have their own for their support system, so who knows how accurate that might actually be. However, I know if any of you have ever had a conversation with a bot for a website for customer service, it is the most aggravating, insulting experience that you can have with customer support. So
yeah,
how is that I guess it really depends on what it covers, because if it has like ways to customize support per occasion built into it, and it can kind of help them provide, or maybe it can provide them context if they don't understand. At the end of the day, it would be better to have customer support agents who know the system inside and out. That can't always be the case. Obviously, people just start their job sometimes and don't know the insides and outs. Most Etsy sellers don't know the policies inside and out. You can't expect someone just joining a company to do that. However, I could see this as a detriment as well for lazy customer support people who don't want to actually try to come up with a genuine answer, and they just take whatever the bot says and input it. I like bots up front, as long as they have the ability to, at any point in time, click, this isn't helping me connect me with a person. You know what I mean? But the person on the other side of that shouldn't also just be using the bot that I just skipped.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. I don't like being negative with it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Customer support bots are terrible pretty much everywhere. I don't expect Etsy's to be much better.
Yeah. This is more about the refinement and how they're going to help shoppers who are on their shopping journey. So maybe the shopper just wants to look at jewelry. Etsy makes a suggestion. Maybe you're interested in chunky gold necklaces. And then sellers are able to utilize what you have inputted, or I'm sorry, buyers are able to utilize what you've inputted in things like your attributes in order to refine those searches even more. So they use the example of jewelry that's falling into the $100 to $200 range. And then, they can filter by things like estimated arrival times, materials. These are all things that we fill out within our listings that now buyers are going to be able to have a little bit more control over. So it says making it easier for buyers to navigate and have maximum control in their buying experience. We have buyers, I'm sure that don't mind waiting a little bit more time. Maybe they're early shoppers for Christmas. They don't care if it's going to take a few weeks to get to you because they're shopping super duper early. So estimated arrival doesn't matter. Then there's those customers who, my brother's birthday is in exactly 1 week. I need this item shipped by tomorrow. Well, there are very few sellers who are going to be able to do that, but they do exist. So those specific customers are going to need to see a list of results that are specifically going to help them with their unique situation. I don't think that every single buyer is going to default to, short estimated arrival times. I know that that's probably a concern where everybody's like, everybody's just going to look for things that ship tomorrow. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I just think that, there are very specific use cases here. And, most shopping platforms have something similar where you can sort by things that specifically ship in a shorter amount of time. Like Amazon, I think they have things that ship same day.
Yeah, I get stuff same day all the time, just depending on the use.
Yeah.
Johnny had said if it's done right, it could scrape their knowledge base and provide agents summaries and links to the actual rules they can see. Yeah, but the problem with that is that, first of all, their rules aren't that complicated and there aren't that many. It's like a couple of pages. If the agent can't piece together what you are saying enough to know after a couple of days of working there, where at least to find that information in those articles, then I don't entirely trust that they'll be able to know how to come up with a statement to ask an AI system on what it should be actually looking for, because they already clearly don't know what they're looking for. So them formulating, they might be able to do it sometimes, but formulating questions isn't exactly easy for some people.
I think that the big issue here is that most of, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of the questions that Etsy support sees are very specific cases where no AI and nothing, because there's no information about it backlogged in a system that an AI can pull out. So for example, there was somebody in the Printify community whose shop got suspended and all of their orders got refunded, even though many of those orders were in transit to the customer. Their shop got reactivated because it was taken down by mistake. And Etsy support even said your shop has been taken down by mistake, but $600 worth of products had been refunded. And this seller is just like, okay, what do I do about the $600 that you guys basically just took from me? We don't have an answer for that.
IMO, hire an attorney. If that happens to you, hire an attorney. 100%. It's your money.
Yeah.
That's theft. They've stolen from you.
So there are so many cases where just a bot isn't going to cut it. And that's where those cases need to be elevated to a next level, like human support. And I just don't feel like Etsy's doing that, because these are the sellers who are just like, I don't know what to do now.
Now, there is the other side of the conversation saying, what's the alternative? What's the alternative with a platform with millions of sellers and even more millions of buyers to provide support for a company that's what, just over 1,000 people?
2,000 something now.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do the math there. The majority of those people are probably customer service, but you're still talking about like an average of 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people per customer service agent. It's impossible.
Right.
Bots are mandatory unless Etsy makes enough money to actually hire more people, which they do, but they have shareholders to keep happy. But that's a whole different conversation. It's my money and I want it now.
It's my money.
Yeah, there really isn't an alternative to bots. All we can do is hope that Etsy does better than literally every other company ever to exist ever.
All right. So we are now in Q3. This is just normal what to expect. When I said things are going to pick up, you know, Q3, and then it's going to pick up a little bit more, Q4, look at the patterns. It looks like this every year. Q3 does, you know, does a little better. Q4 does awesome. Q1 does, you know, kind of crappy. Q2 does okay. And it repeats. It's the same every year. So again, this is why I'm always like, you know, even if you don't sell a holiday related product, like people don't buy Christmas shirts as Christmas presents. They buy normal shirts that the person can wear all year round. Don't fill your shop with as much Christmas stuff as possible. Don't fill your stuff with, you know, things themed around Christmas. Yeah, I have some, you know, Christmas related items, but think about why people are buying for Christmas. Have you ever received a Christmas themed item for Christmas? It's like the day after Christmas, you're like, okay, I guess I'll put it away and get it out next year. Like, I hate getting Christmas themed pajamas for Christmas because I'm just like,
Christmas is over.
Christmas is over. I guess I'll enjoy.
I guess I'll wear these today.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, think more about the shoppers who want to buy for longevity. They want to buy a piece of jewelry that their customer can wear year round. Or their gift recipient. They want to buy a mug that their recipient can enjoy year round. So just, you know, these are products that are not seasonally specific. We can keep those evergreen in our shops. I'm going to go ahead and zip ahead just a wee bit.
I'm curious to see this quarter if sales go down instead of up because of them deleting pretty much the entirety of the adult industry on Etsy.
Yeah, I'm
curious to see how that affects it. If nothing changes, then we know that it really didn't matter to begin with.
Reactivated buyers. So these have been their initiative to take buyers who have not bought in a long time and get them to buy again. That's great. Active buyers is up. New buyers is down, but repeat buyers is also up.
Which is what they need. Repeat buyers is the focus.
Yeah, and reactivating buyers to make them repeat buyers. So, overall, this all looks great. Obviously, new buyers are important, but reactivating a buyer who's already had a good experience in the past is just as important.
However, habitual buyers is down.
Yes. All right, and then the rest of it is just the
Depop, reverb. I don't think there was anything else.
Unless there's anything else you want to cover.
No.
Okay, so there were a couple additional points that Josh mentioned in the video that I do want to cover.
Get your questions in while we're going over this.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about the topic. It can be about anything.
Yeah. So something he mentioned, I love this combination of words. Artisanal pricing power. One of the main things he focused on, and what we're going to be focusing on with you guys, we're going to focus on it hopefully in the Alpha Holiday Boot Camp, which that's coming soon. We'll have registration information for that. We have a lot of great speakers this year. We're going to have Christina, Dave from Add to Cart, Hannah Gardner is going to be speaking. Angel from Passive Income, Angel will be there. We've got a lot of speakers this year, so that I wanted to like diversify because I got to go to Amplified and I can't be the only person doing the boot camp. So I got help this year. We're gonna get experts involved. But artisanal pricing power. Josh said that he wants to see more focus on showing why your items are worth a higher cost, not pricing at the bottom. Not charging the least amount possible. Price higher, but show why you're pricing higher. One thing that he mentioned several times was videos of you making your products or, you know, finding ways to incorporate yourself into the process. Communicating value to buyers. So explaining the seller's role in creating the products. I really liked this idea, and I know that there's going to be, you know, like for example, POD, you guys are like, oh, how I just designed it. Like, what role did I have? I didn't do anything. I don't ship it. I don't print it. Okay. For me, I am a POD seller. I officially license with authors. We create bookish themed merch. for me, maybe that would be me sitting, and I've got a picture of me with some of my sample merch laying out. And maybe I have my tablet sitting with a design, that I've made on the screen. And maybe I have the book, that the merch is from, and maybe it's me sitting with a notebook, like writing down ideas. And maybe I have Marc take a Marc. I have a Marc.
A Marc.
Just
Not
some
me.
just some Marc.
A Marc.
Take a picture of me, like top down, with all of these, things laid out, where I'm coming up and brainstorming ideas from this book to serve as the inspiration for the officially licensed merch. So, there's always ways to get creative. Feel free to use the Handmade Alpha Facebook community, which is linked down below, to brainstorm with others. If you've got, a product and you just need ideas, you want to hear from other sellers, like, how can I show the artisanal process, or how can I show my role in the creation of this digital item or this POD item? And maybe, working with others, you can come up with something that's really unique. Now, it might take a little bit of work to execute. I tell you, sitting down and taking all those photos of me with, inspiration products and yada yada, that's going to be a pain in the butt. I understand that. But again, it's that buried treasure philosophy, or buried treasure principle. If you knew that there was buried treasure somewhere in your backyard, for certain,
I want my treasure.
You just don't know where it is. How much time, energy, and money would you invest into finding it? So how much time, energy, and money would you invest into your business if you knew that it was an avenue to succeed?
If there's treasure in my backyard, I'd have a backhoe here today.
Excavation.
I'd hire a whole team of excavators, archaeologists. Find that treasure.
Find it.
Find that treasure.
Now I've got one more, and then I'm done.
Artisanal pricing.
Etsy is getting rid of search analytics beta at the beginning of this month.
Wee woo.
Sometime 20-ish days. They're just doing away with it, but they're adding in new stuff. Something new is coming. I'm assuming it's that, like, how to improve your listing quality. Etsy search analytics beta, which has been in beta for like 4 or 5 years, I think. It basically just told you, an idea of what keywords you were being found for. You can do all this with Google Analytics, and it's so much better. And you can take your Google Analytics and plug it directly into your eRank account through our traffic stats tool. And eRank will just spit out the most important information, so you never even have to, like, learn how to use Google Analytics, which I would recommend that, because Google Analytics is just a pain. eRank will just tell you what you need to know. For me, Etsy Search Analytics Beta is just looky-loos who hear that I have a shop called Books and Cold Brews. And so all of my keywords are every combination of the word books and cold brews from people just trying to find my shop.
Okay, the shop is called Books and Cold Brews.
Books and Cold Brews. It is almost a year old. That's crazy. It's almost a year old.
We don't want to hear y'all's freaky pirate role play.
What?
But what else am I going to put on my OnlyFans?
Arr.
Arr.
Arr. Shiver me timbers.
They don't call it a peg leg for nothing.
Oh my God, Mr. Moore, shut up. Will you read questions? You're too, I can't match your energy.
I got good energy today. Why can't? How do we get folks to sign up for our newsletters via Etsy?
You can put your link in your shop announcement. You could do a photo in your 10 listing photo slots. That I would make sure that you're incentivizing it, like with an instant discount code, for example, right when they sign in, and your welcome, email that sends afterwards. Having something like I wouldn't offer under 15% unless your products are over $100. So doing like a 15% discount that sends automatically. I don't teach these strategies here on YouTube because there's a lot of legalities that come to email lists and privacy. And obviously there's the DMARC, SKM, SPF, part of it that if all that sounds confusing, it's because it is.
Supposed to be.
I only teach it in Handmade Alpha Academy for that reason, but it sounds like you already have an email list. So, a shop announcement, one of your 10 listing photos, you could put it down in your about section, FAQs, You could stick it in your listing descriptions.
TBH, after all the interfaces and stuff get updated, we probably won't remake that video. It's not relevant for anyone under like 5,000 email list subscribers, and at that point they can hire somebody to do it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
MailChimp made it so easy now though that I've already moved our live stream from HAA and replaced it. I've already taken care of that.
You brat. I got my messages turned off for a long time because I sent someone a message that included an Amazon link for 3D printing filament.
Yeah,
it took them 2 months to get my account back.
You can't link anywhere else that customers could potentially buy something else because they assume that it's fee aversion.
Yeah.
They think that you're trying to redirect them to buy your product somewhere else.
For the occasions, does it make sense to tag birthstone jewelry as birthday? I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, that could fit. I don't see that being a problem. I'm scared. Everybody's scared. It's okay.
How to boast my sales? Any idea? Well, I mean, if you want to boast, Facebook and Twitter are really good places to do that.
That again, how to make more sales. Listen, my entire career as an Etsy coach and all of the thousands of videos that I've made the objective is to answer that question. There's nothing that I can tell you in a quick video. Like, there's no quick tip that I can give you to boost your sales. You just asked me, how do I become a neuroscientist? That's what that question is akin to. Instead, how can you boost your sales? Select certain areas that you want to learn. Branding, SEO.
That you need to learn.
Product photography, marketing, email lists, consumer psychology. There are pricing psychology. There are so many avenues that you should know. Select one, pick a month, learn that thing, then move on to the next thing. I have so many free resources on my channel to help you get started. Down below this video, if you expand out the video description, I've got my free Etsy SEO toolbox, which has a course that teaches you how Etsy's algorithm works. It's got tons of video resources and, step-by-step tutorials. That's completely free. Check that out. I've got my 30-day Instagram challenge. If you want to learn how to do social media marketing and you're not sure how frequently to post, what to post, that's going to tell you exactly what to do for the next 30 days. And you can start it anytime. You don't have to just start it at the first of the month. You can start it in the middle of the month if you wanted to. And obviously my channel is loaded with videos. Guys, there are 287 of you here. I am going to be headlining. I'm not the only headliner, but I am one of the headliners at Amplified this year. I'm so scared. Come to the event. It is free if you use my coupon code AMPSTARLA. Normally it's $5 to get a community pass, which grants you access to things like Q&As, giveaways and stuff. As a speaker, I get to invite all of my audience to come for free, and I get business class tickets if I get the most people. So please sign up even if you can't attend. I want to fly business. But that is linked down below if you want to sign up for that. And there's going to be a ton of speakers there who are going to talk about different strategies. I don't know what they're talking about. I know I'm talking about niching and I'm talking about SEO, but there's going to be tools. I think that is Adobe the one sponsoring it? Amazon's going to be there. There's going to be so much. So come to that. It's free. It's free. You get a free coupon, 100% off.
Carlos Seward said, I wish Etsy would charge us more fees for support. I absolutely agree with that. However, any of you that have actually paid for like a tech thing to have it's not more support. It's usually priority support or chat support. Priority support's usually not too bad. You get kind of jumped to the front of the queue behind anybody else who had priority support before you kind of thing. But like direct chat support for any like big tech stuff, you're going to be talking like a couple $100 a month for something like that at Etsy's size. So, I mean, I agree, but at the same time, I don't think it would be cost efficient for the majority of people. But for these people who are like 6-figure every quarter kind of shops who get shut down out of nowhere, I'm sure they'd be willing to pay a couple $100 a month in order to get their shops back quick for mistakes that their systems make, which we have seen numerous times over the last year.
So while you're looking for a question, nobody's asked. Or maybe they haven't. I'm just not paying.
They haven't.
Nobody's asked. Nobody's asked about this back here. I put this back here hoping that somebody would say, Starla, what's the big present? What's the big present from Printify? What is it? I don't know. But right when we get off of here, Mark and I are going to do a Printify haul video where I'm going to open up all my sample merch and this big box. So you guys got to tune in on Tuesday during my Tuesday upload to see what's inside. So make sure you mark it on your calendars, or I'll send you an email if you're on my email list.
We already answered that. I actually have a customer who wants me to customize some shirts for her wedding. She wants 120 t-shirts. I'm too lazy. Just by the way, for scalability, if you guys receive, questions like that and you don't think you can fulfill them, it's better to turn them down than get a bad review.
That's true.
For not being able to fulfill it. Just remember that. Know your capabilities. Do you use the alt text in your listing photos, and how do I use the trends on eRank when half the searches are trademarked items? Okay, first of all, do you use alt text in your listing photos? You should use alt text in your listing photos, and while you can technically keyword optimize those, it should be an accurate description of the product because it is for accessibility for people who are visually impaired and cannot read.
Exactly.
Or cannot see enough to visually see what the picture is of.
Right. Alt text, it helps in two very specific scenarios. First scenario is if somebody is blind and they're utilizing a screen reader. That's something where they hover their mouse over top of an image and you are serving as their eyes. You are telling them what this item is. Now imagine that this person who is blind or very visually impaired, they're trying to shop on Etsy for a new t-shirt. They want a nice shirt for the holidays. Maybe they type in Christmas cat shirt. They know what they want. They just, they need your help to find that Christmas cat shirt. And as they're browsing Etsy, you are the only person on that page of results who's optimized your alt text. For that individual, you are the only listing that is visible.
Bada bing, bada boom, baby.
So don't shove a bunch of keywords in there. I can't imagine how frustrating that would be if I was visually impaired and I thought that I'd finally found someone who'd catered their listing to me and I went in there and it just was a bunch of keywords.
Yep.
Instead, hold your item in your hands or, have it in front of you and describe everything that you can about that item.
What is it?
As if you are explaining it to someone who is blind. What's the texture? How's it? What's on the item? What color is it? And if the only variant in your photos is the item is sitting up or the item is laying on its side or the item is in a woman with red hair's hand, say those things. You're not just describing your item, you're helping them to understand what the photo is and what all the differences are in between those photos. And unless you're uploading an identical photo every single time, it's very likely that you can mention variants within those.
And how do I use the trends on eRank when half of the searches are trademarked items? Ignore the trademark stuff.
Well, and it's not just that. It's what eRank is telling you. We're giving you an idea of what customers are searching for. And yes, a lot of the times they are trademark terms. But what I recommend with things like the monthly trend report is don't just deep dive within your categories. For example, if you make t-shirts and Father's Day is coming up and you want to make shirts for dads, but you want to know what dads are interested in. Maybe you don't just search in the shirts, the trending shirts category. Go into toys and games and you'll find that lots of things related to tabletop gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, dice sets are trending. Okay, so I can't use Dungeons and Dragons because that's owned by Wizards of the Coast. I'm selling a shirt though. So with Father's Day coming up, maybe that tells me that with Dungeons and Dragons being trendy, maybe dragon shirts that say, dad on them or my dad is a dragon or, something like that. Maybe that would do well. You have to get creative with those trends and not just look at them at face value. The people who do the most success or successful with the trend hunting are the ones who are able to abstractly search and apply those trends to their product. And not every month you're going to get amazing results. Sometimes we just have really crappy results, especially like during the Taylor Swift tour. Oh my God, that's all you saw for the trends. It was all just Taylor Swift stuff. So occasionally, there are months where, customers are just searching for things that we can't sell, but you can find ways to kind of, create products that are applicable. So for example, Beetlejuice, the new movie is about to come out. Okay, we can't do anything Beetlejuice related. Obviously, that would get us in trouble, and we can't use keywords related to Beetlejuice. But what if you made Halloween like themed tree ornaments, and you did like black and white and purple stripes, or black and white and green and purple stripes on a Christmas ornament? You don't need to say anything about Beetlejuice in your listings. You just know that maybe this particular palette might be more popular this year. So there's always ways to kind of create things that aren't themed in, the material that you can't use, that IP infringing material. For example, House of the Dragon, that's airing right now. Maybe, more dragon themed Christmas items. Maybe dragons in general are going to be more popular. I know when The Walking Dead was big, like zombies were everywhere. Zombies were what were popular. You didn't have to say Walking Dead. Zombies in general were very popular. So just keeping an eye on those trends can kind of help point you in a general direction.
She is in toys and games.
Oh, she sells in toys and games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something mentioned a few weeks ago about talking to a lawyer regarding IPs and the details, like 30%. I don't understand the question.
30% variation of the IPs being okay parodies. Did I miss this video? I did not make a video on that. That wouldn't be me. Here's the thing. There is no universal answer. There is no magic percentage that you get to infringe on an IP. I know that a lot of people say that if you change it this much, if you change it that much,
Nope.
But how do you prove that you've changed it that much? How do you prove a percentage of a design has been changed that much in court when you're, up against someone like Disney?
Etsy doesn't do parody.
Instead,
that's been a thing for a long time. Etsy does not do parody in any way, shape, or form.
They don't accept it, right?
And while parody is legal, there's a difference between legal and allowed on someone's platform.
Right.
Etsy doesn't allow it. 0% of it's allowed. You cannot parody or do anything. If the person on the other side of that IP doesn't like your interpretation, whether it's 1% or 100%, you're in the wrong, and you're going to get your listing removed and potentially lose your shop. That's it.
So when it comes to individual cases, the unfortunate answer is that it's going to vary product to product, case to case.
Yes.
And you have to have every single product that you want analyzed, specifically analyzed by an IP lawyer. And I spoke to an IP lawyer just a couple weeks ago about potentially collabing on some content. And the difficult part of even being able to do that is her answer. Even I asked some questions and she's like, well, I can't answer those here, but you can book a consultation. Because they have to look at every single case. There's no black and white answers. So your best bet is to steer clear unless you want to talk to an IP lawyer yourself. But even then, it's not just the law that you have to abide by. It's Etsy's rules as well. And on Etsy, typically if something is reported for IP violation, even if it falls into satire, Etsy's going to side with whoever the IP owner is.
Do you think that rebranding and changing a shop name would hurt it? Shop is doing fairly well. No.
There's
celebrate it. If you've had a change of heart, then use it as a way to advertise. Can you put different holidays into any niche as long as you keep the colors and styles the same as your other products? I'd like to do Halloween, but not sure if it'll fit my shop well.
Vicky, I'd almost need to see examples. I mean, here's my question. What's the worst that could happen? Like, you can always try it. It's not going to do any harm. If it doesn't work out, you can always just disable those listings. I don't think it's going to turn anyone off. In terms of will it fit my overall like aesthetic and target customer, I would have to see very specific examples, but regardless, it's probably not going to hurt you.
Question you guys always speak about having niche stores. Is it okay to stay a general store as long as I'm getting sales?
If you're making sales, yeah, there are general stores that do well, but
it is more difficult to be successful as a general store than it is to have a niche. It's not necessarily wrong to not niche. It's just more difficult.
Exactly. And HAA students in the chat, let me know. Those of you who transitioned from general stores to niche stores, how much better did you do once you actually defined your niche and started marketing towards your niche? because most people do better once they niche.
When does your holiday boot camp open this year?
So we will be opening for enrollment on September. If you guys want to write these dates down. If you guys want to get in at the best price, because the price goes up every day, we do an early bird discount on Thursday, September 5th. You guys can get it for $60. That is way below, like, you can ask anybody who attended last year. That is so cheap for the amount of content that you get. So Thursday the 5th, you get in for $60. Friday and Saturday, the 6th and 7th, that price goes up to $100. The 8th, which is the last day to enroll, we bump that price up to $120. And everybody who pays that extra $20, that money goes directly to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So it's almost like a little penalty for waiting for till the last minute, but we do it in order to donate that money. This year we are doing guest speakers. Those guest speakers who recruit their own people will be getting 50% of the commissions, but for the people for the affiliates who recruit people on that last day, we've decided to take the $20 out of our portion. So that'll be coming out of ours, basically. But a lot of people do choose to wait until the last day to enroll just so that their $20 can go to St. Jude. And then the boot camp itself will be taking place the 9th through the 15th. So if you guys need to, and Handmade Alpha Academy students, you guys don't got to worry about paying it. You get it for free. So you just need to remember the 9th through the 15th. And every single day you'll get a new, day of boot camps to watch. You guys asked me last year, because we did it in October last year. You said it was way too late. You wanted it in September. So it's gonna be hard, but we're gonna do it.
Just to address Chelsea Holt, they weren't referring to you. They were referring to the Chelsea that made the comment directly before you.
Oh, there's more than one Chelsea in the chat?
Yeah, they were telling this person that you can't use the tags. They were referring to a different Chelsea. Do you expect August to still be low demand? When does Etsy searches on increase?
I mean, go to eRank and look for your
Q3.
industry.
We talked about it earlier in the video. Q3 is when their stuff goes up. So sometime between now and September, it should pick up.
You can do this for yourself. Go over to erank.com. I guess you got to have a paid subscription to be able to see when the search trends will increase. But if you've got a basic account, which is only $5.99 a month, go to eRank, type in a couple keywords into that very top search bar related to your product, and then look at the trend graph, and you'll be able to see when people for your specific industry start searching for that product.
I've been putting a description in my item description for people who are visually impaired. Is that still useful? I mean, it can be, but that's specifically what the alt text on the images is for.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's not gonna hurt you, but I would still use the alt text because that's what that's for.
Should it describe the photo or the item? Like when I say a hand holding a sticker of a cat or just a sticker of a cat, it's going to depend on how much it takes you to actually describe the product. If you have a very intricate product with a lot of details and you need to be able to describe that, just describe the product. You don't need to describe
because there's only so many characters.
But if it's just like brown coffee cup, then say, brown coffee cup in somewhat like fill out the text, How long can your alt text be? 250 characters.
Yeah, it's not very much.
Because it's not meant for keyword stuffing.
Yeah.
If someone who is visually impaired opens your listing and uses their stuff and it just sounds like an eBay listing is getting blasted in their face, they're just going to have it click off. I would assume. I'm getting licensed to sell a product that's trademarked. Will I have a problem with the use of keywords on Etsy? Do I need to contact Etsy about being licensed so I'm not flagged for infringement?
No, because the only way that you would be flagged for infringement is if the IP owner reported you. Etsy does not police the platform for IP infringing products, obviously.
Say that one more time.
Etsy does not police the platform for IP infringing products.
Etsy legally cannot enforce IP on behalf of IP holders.
Because it's not their property.
Thank you. They have to provide a system for IP holders to do so. That is it.
Now, what you do need to do is maybe talk to whoever you're getting licensed by and see if there's anything that you'll need to include in your listings. For most of the authors that I have, they keep a catalog of the Etsy shops who are selling, who are officially licensed with them, so that they don't mistakenly report those individuals. And they also, several of them have a statement that we must paste in our descriptions in order to not be flagged. So
also just make sure that if you're doing that, that the very specific product that you're selling with the trademark material is allowed by the person that you got the trademark. Having a trademark over something doesn't mean you can make any kind of product related to it. They'll usually have criteria that you have to follow for what products.
Oh, yeah.
Also be aware that you need to keep an eye on your emails. They can retract you at any time unless you sign a physical contract.
And those contracts also expire. We have to renew our contract.
Yeah, so make sure you know the insides and outs of what you're doing before you mess with copyright stuff, because it's a good way to screw yourself. Is there any particular time of day that's best to post new listings? How does Etsy's boost last for that listings? Excuse me.
So, time of day, I mean, some people say yes. I'm really a list it whenever you've got it ready to list, because if it's not listed, it won't sell. I'm just a big fan of get it listed if it's ready to go, unless you're doing something like a collection launch. How long does the boost last? Anywhere from 60 to 90 days is what we tend to lean towards, because Etsy basically has to monitor how shoppers interact with that listing during that set period of time. If, for example, within 60 days, tons of people engage with that listing positively, then Etsy might be more likely to further boost that listing higher in search, because they assume that customers are typically satisfied when they're finding this listing. If, Etsy has some confusion as to what that listing is based on the queries that customers are typing in when they find it and, clicking on it, and Etsy still needs a little bit more time to gauge how customers are interacting with those listings, then it might be longer. I like that 4-month period that Etsy gives us, when our listings need to be renewed, basically. That to me feels like a great amount of time. If you've got your listing set to expire after that or auto renew, and nothing has happened with that listing, it hasn't sold, and assuming it's not seasonal, because obviously if it's May and your Christmas items aren't selling, it's not like a big question as to why, people aren't buying things related to Christmas in May. It doesn't mean your keywords are bad, it's just a seasonal item. Assuming it's not a seasonal item, within that 4-month period, if the item isn't getting any love, that might tell me that it's a good idea to start reevaluating some things.
If you make a generic accessory, can you still use the trademark names and the tags only, like D&D for something that generic that can be used for D&D but has no IP infringing logos? No, you cannot. If you're using the tags, they are going to presume that you are doing so because it is influenced off of something within their IP. The way that IP infringement is enforced on Etsy is they have a system where they can literally just go in and type keywords in. They're not going to be taking the time to go through to make sure if it's not. If you have included a tag for an IP material in your tags, then you are basing your product off of something in their eyes. And they're not going through and reading the listings. They're just going click, 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 report. And then it's done. Your listing is gone and there's nothing you can do about it. It is best to not screw around with stuff like that.
Yeah, they're assuming that you are utilizing that name to profit from their audience. So even if you make a generic boy wizard, boy wizard, Perry Hotter design with pet barn owl.
It's just Gary Busey holding a stick.
Exactly, Gary Busey holding a stick. But you have Harry Potter inspired in your tags. You are utilizing the Harry Potter audience in order to make money. So
there you go.
So definitely would not.
1:30 on the dot.
We appreciate you guys.
Hold on one sec. I wonder how many times you have to answer the same IP questions. Here's the way that YouTube works. There's always new people.
True.
So the same questions getting asked over and over again might seem repetitive for people who come back to the streams a lot. However, for new people, they weren't here.
It's the first time they heard it.
It's the first time that they've heard it. So never get upset at it. And it's good to have refreshers. If something is being asked, then it's a relevant, recent topic. And sometimes it's good to have a refresher. Plus, information changes. This information may be invalid a week from now. Maybe Etsy comes out and is like, you can sell whatever you want. and then you can sell whatever you want.
I had a comment before we go. I had a comment. I gotta read it just because it was so funny. You guys can go. You don't have to stick around to listen to me.
No, they have to stick around.
Oh, you don't leave. I don't care if you gotta pee.
I know where you live.
I don't care if you need to eat. You have to stay here.
Doesn't mean I'm gonna do anything with it, but I do know where you live.
So on Tuesday, I made a video about my Etsy tag strategy, and apparently it was very popular because most people were like, oh crap, I didn't know that. So if you don't know how to do your Etsy tags, be sure to go watch that video. Oh man, it was just so funny. Okay. Somebody commented on the video and they said, Starla, I'm sorry, but this has been thought for at least a year or two by someone else. This is not anything new whatsoever. Thumbs down. I said, because it's in Etsy's Ultimate Guide to Search. I never said it was a new strategy, friend. It's literally in Etsy's best practices. If you're going to be a lawyer, you must speak in congruence with the law. If you're going to be a doctor, you must practice medicine in accordance to current practices. And as an Etsy coach, I would be insane to teach anything less than what Etsy specifically states is best practice for their platform, especially when it comes to SEO. I don't make up strategies for the sake of views. I explain exactly what you should be doing to succeed. If someone is making up a crazy strategy that they invented from their brain and they don't have evidence to support it other than their own anecdotal evidence from their shop, it's very likely not scientifically conclusive, which means that it likely cannot be replicated within your shop. The benefit to following people like me and Pam Duthie and Brian, who comes over to the eRank channel and chats, we work for eRank, which means that we have this overhead perspective of the majority of Etsy sellers. Most Etsy sellers, not most, but I dare say that we hold the most, users over any other SEO tools. Hundreds of thousands of sellers. We have this overhead perspective where we're able to kind of monitor how people are doing and be able to strategize and figure out, not just one person's experience led to this result, but okay, 7,000 people all experienced this. Maybe this is something that we should look more into. So just when it comes to following people online, be very careful about the advice that you take. And if someone directly contradicts what Etsy tells you to do, be wary, because Etsy is not going to mislead you or misguide you. They want you to do good, because when you do good, they make money. What they want is more sellers to do the things that are good and that make money. So
thank you for your donation to water.org.
Yes, thank you.
If you guys want to donate, you can just click the thing.
Water.org is an amazing organization. They don't just provide clean drinking water to areas who don't have it. They install permanent solutions that ensure that areas of the world that don't have clean drinking water are able to have forever access to clean drinking water. So please consider donating. Everyone in the world should have clean drinking water. That is a basic human right that we should all have access to.
Yep.
Can't live without clean water. So
I can.
What?
I can live without clean water.
Honey, coffee has to be made with clean water.
Mm-mm.
We appreciate you. We are going to record a video. We're going to see what's in this box. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday if you want to see what's in the box. And yeah, I think we're done.
Okay, bye.
I think that's it.
See you.
See you later.
Bye. See you next week. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.